This just in, we have a major announcement. Starting next week, week 18, I'll be going live for Rigged NFL on Sunday nights. So week 17 will be the last Monday night stream of the season. I'll also be going live for Rigged College Football, the season finale, when Georgia takes on Alabama in the national championship game. So again, from week 18 on to the Super Bowl, I will be streaming on Sunday nights for Rigged NFL. Ring that bell and stay tuned. And we are back with the conference championship episode of Rigged NFL. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you're notified anytime I go live or drop any new content. Also, we got to 6,000 subscribers, so everyone give yourself a pat on the back. I appreciate all the support, like real talk, real talk. To start off this Sunday, you know it's going to be some scripted craziness. You already knew it. Like, let's start off with Kansas City. Kansas City was up early on Cincinnati, and then suddenly in the second half, Kansas City forgot how to catch a football. They forgot how to do anything that required a little bit of football IQ. See what the chat's got going on. What's good with you, homie 43? Oh, with it, the real truth be told in the building. That you know it's going to be Bengals versus Rams. Nobody had money on them. I was surprised the Rams actually beat the Niners, to be honest. But yeah, I did have Cincy beating Kansas City. Blowout. I hope not. I really hope it's not a blowout. To miss an opportunity to do Rams versus Chiefs. Yeah, the only thing about that was they had to pick one underdog. And everybody and their mama was supposed to pick the Chiefs to win that game over the Bengals. So that was a gimme. Said just before and early in the game, the cameras would keep away from Stafford, constantly talking about his past. Hardly any attention was made on Garoppolo. That's how you knew the Rams would win. Same, they kept showing Joe Burrow on the sideline of the Chiefs-Bengals game. Same thing. Interesting how the two states in the Super Bowl helped the Democrats with the pandemic and recent election fraud, and how the playoff teams from states against the jab and for the voter ID were eliminated. Yeah, I mean, they be deeper than that, too, so you know how that go. What up with you, Paul Lofton? You get to look at Kelly Stafford and not Brittany Matthews and Jackson Mahomes. Oh, my God, dude, yeah. That's funny. I'd love to see the little angry tweets she has to tweet about. What up with you, Blackbird McKnight? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So you wanted to pat Mahomes through it so that way he wouldn't be embarrassed by his brother and girlfriend. That's going to happen regardless. And I mean on that one play where he was just running around aimlessly for no apparent reason whatsoever. Like, this dude is running there, has like 10 seconds to do whatever he wants to. He could have ran out of bounds back to the line of scrimmage. He could have thrown the ball away. He just stands there and then throws the ball down. Like, come on, dude. Yeah, Jimmy G's was bad. He just lofted that thing. I forgot who did that one earlier in the season. Someone did the exact same thing. I don't know if it was him, but somebody did that same little loft thing. Part of me wants to say it was Jimmy G in an earlier game. So that maybe it's a condition of his next Super Bowl appearance. You know, the league says drop that hoe and no more hardware. Fans don't like that bitch in your brother. I don't really think that has anything to do with it. It's just it was his time to lose. Damn. I forgot about that. What up, Edgar? What's good with you? Caleb in the building. Did the Rams repeat from 1999? Could be related to that Kurt Warner movie. Did the Rams will win the Super Bowl? I don't know, man. I don't know. Do they have a home team winning 2 years in a row? They've got two teams going. Do they have two teams winning in a row? Because it could be, them rewarding the Rams for throwing that god-awful Super Bowl against the Patriots back in Atlanta. So that could be, the balancing act. So did Rodgers lay down for 2 years? Yeah. Yeah. What up with you, AO? What's good with you? Cosmic Warrior in the building. Yes, sir. So you mad Tom didn't retire? I bet he get one more ring before he retire. Like, for real retire. Rams Bengals, the game no one saw coming. Yeah, I didn't see that at all. Super Bowl's on 2-13 and the Rams blew a 21-3 lead. Funny thing is they was down 21-3 against the Texans whenever they ended up playing the 49ers in that AFC Championship game. Called it from day one, but that Chiefs game was absolute shit. Yeah, that's the one that got everybody, really. Matt Stafford's 33 years old, so it makes sense they made the Super Bowl. And it's his 13th year in the league on top of that. That's what I'm saying. What up with you, Jordan Johnson? What's good with you? So the Rams weren't supposed to win. So the race is NFL Stafford winning his first and rightfully so. Bengals are a joke, and hopefully Burrow loses. I don't know the things they were talking about with Joe Burrow. There's part of me that makes me think I could see Cincinnati winning that game. I remember they brought up the little tidbit about the Joes, like Joe Namath and Joe Montana both won a national championship and a Super Bowl. Joe Burrow could be, the third to do that. Third Joe. They already had 3 Joes be Super Bowl MVPs. Joe Namath, Joe Montana, Joe Flacco. Could be Joe Burrow as the 4th. But speaking of the Rams, there was this one little tidbit from the Mic'd Up. I think it was a divisional round. Yeah, it had to be a divisional round. I think it was divisional round. And there's a player talking to Von Miller, asked him about Super Bowl trophies, and that's the first thing they showed. I was like, that's interesting. Why would you cut to that immediately? They was like, does everyone get their own Super Bowl trophy or something like that? It's just like they could have been hitting at, the Rams possibly winning the Super Bowl. 33 years since the Bengals non Super Bowl was hella bait. So you're going to be in an underdog era. I'm cool with that, personally. If it's not the same goddamn teams winning over and over, for sure. 49ers won their 6th ring with Cowboys at 6-6-6. Yeah, neither of those are winning, though. Yeah, the one that Tart had, holy shit, it hit him right here. And then all of a sudden he just ups and decides he wants to drop it. Like, come on. Phil hates black QBs. Even Mahomes, who brought them all that revenue, was thrown away. You convinced Lamar would never win a sniff of Super Bowl. I mean, shit, they already got trade rumors for that nigga. We'll see how that plays out. But like I said, it wasn't all paradise in Baltimore like they wanted to make it look like it was. That really is, though. Rakis, that really is. Yeah, I know BLM have on their helmets. Or that they do. Yeah, they've been doing that, though. With the cheap. No, they were not supposed to win that game. No. So Stafford's going into contract negotiations and Burrow's on his rookie deal. You lean the Rams, even though they could pull a switcheroo. Yeah, like I said, that one could go either way. What up, Scotty Boy 36? Looks like Mahomes is done Super Bowl wise. I don't know about all that. He definitely gonna be back, but they gonna cool off for a minute. He can't go to every single Super Bowl. It's like Brady didn't go to every single Super Bowl. It felt like it, but Brady wasn't going to every single Super Bowl. 6 seed Niners need 6 ring to match Packers Patriots 666. Yeah, that game was basically mimicking the Bills game. Very similar. How they waited to make sure the game went into overtime. And near the end, Mahomes off the get-go trying to get rid of the ball and give it to Cincinnati. Like, come on. Man, stop. No, he ain't the GOAT. To the 2 co-founders are born in L.A. Ravens and Raiders are a perfect underdog story. There's no reason they should have picked the Bengals over them, except there's no off-field drama since seeing the Ravens got a black QB. Yeah, you're right about that, though. Who gets 6 first? Not Dallas. Hope it's not Dallas. Holmes didn't know how to suck. He's a terrible. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he just does things that are obviously fake as hell. Like, he's one of them who doesn't know how to make it look real when he's losing. Lamar's pretty bad at acting too, but Patrick Mahomes is really bad because he's always used to winning and doing all this dumb shit and just getting away with it. So it sticks out more. Yeah, for real. They were just like, you couldn't write a better story. That's what Aaron Andrews was talking about. Or what's the other one? Obviously, you know, they couldn't script it any better. It's usual shit they always say, straight mockery. Carson Wentz. I had a feeling it wasn't Tannehill. I know it wasn't Tannehill. I think it was Carson Wentz. Steph when he was getting sacked but spun around. Nah, there was a different one. The one I'm talking about, this was a different one. He flung it. That was a different one. Chiefs laid down. Reed would have kicked the field goal. Philly fan. Yeah. So he dominates and he just starts running in circles almost as bad as Collar. Yeah, I don't know. Collar's pretty bad. Collar is pretty bad at that. Staff versus Titans, he did that. Nah, that's not the one I'm talking about. Something else. Curious. Yeah, same. Super Saiyan nigga 4. I like that. Super Saiyan nigga 4. It's good with you, Tiger Strong. It's like Rams are a Super Bowl lock. We'll see. Rodgers to the Niners. Because I know they already had talk about him going to the Broncos. Could be bait. That'd be funny as hell if the Broncos miss out on yet another good quarterback and have to settle for some average-ass QB. As soon as you saw Eric Dickerson commercial, yeah, I saw that. So you knew they was going to win. And no first ring for Cincy because I know the NFL does not like new winners. Joe Burrow, the new Drew Brees. I can see that. I can see that comparison. They may let the home team win it, but then turn around and not let a home team go back for a while would be too obvious. Well, with you, Robert Shelton. Was good with you? So you don't think Tom will get a ring next year, 2022, would be his highest paid season? I mean, we talking about the Golden Boy. 2-1-3 Colts was down to the Patriots in 06 as well. Yeah, they mentioned that during the game. So here's an anomaly in sports. They all agreed to script random ass teams to the finals. First, it was the Bucks and Suns. Yeah, that's one of them. Bengals and Rams. Who else? Braves and Astros. They're baseball. They did it there too. You think they going to do Mahomes like they do LeBron? Let him get there, make him lose a lot. I think he gonna win some more. I think it's more so like during this stage, it's really just him paying his dues because he won so early. That's the same shit we saw Russell Wilson. He won early in his career, and then he had to pay his dues back the rest of his career. Why you think they had him throw that interception in the Super Bowl? Then you have close-up pics of Robert Kraft from the Dolphins game. Was he doing some wild shit? What up, Abraham? He said, Chiefs versus behalf remind you of Super Bowl 50. Mahomes' body language similar to Cam's. Oh, yeah, his body language was not good at all. 21-3 Colts comeback, yeah. 15 years later, number 15 blows the same lead. Yeah. It's not a sport. Same with the NBA, the NHL, MLB, all of it. The next year, look for references at 35 and 12. Like they changed things around his age 35 season. Or it's been 12 years since. Ironically, Stafford and Burrows wears number 9 respectively. Yeah, that's right. They do wear the same number. You know what it has to do with things for the big game. If Burrow do win, it makes sense because he'll be the 3rd and 3. He'll be the 3rd and 3 because 56, Super Bowl 56. Yeah, I personally believe I'm leaning more towards Burrow to win this thing than the Rams. I see the Gronk Groupon commercial that was released the day after the Bucks lost. Yeah, talking about he's not in the big game or whatever. Yeah, I saw that. That's like they had that Super Bowl commercial up quick as hell. The one last year, whenever they had the one where they they edited it up and everything to make it sound like Tom said, Gronk, get out of retirement, come win a Super Bowl with me. They played that shit the day of the Super Bowl. The day of the Super Bowl. Like, come on. Mind you, before the game was even over. Seems like every playoff game now comes down to the last possession, but most people don't care, you guys. Yeah, and they even joked about that shit. I was like, who knows, this game might end with 4 seconds left on the clock because, you know, there was 3 games in the divisional round that ended with 4 seconds left on the clock with a field goal. Do I think Tom's retiring? I think he's pulling a Brett Favre. I'd like to think he's retiring, but I think he's pulling a Brett Favre. Bengals 10-5 regular season, Rams 12-5. Both 4 seeds going against whoever house decides the Super Bowl. We'll wait and see. Having a feeling Bengals will be there with Kansas City and New England next year, competitive AFC North. Yeah, it should be. Depends on who Pittsburgh has as a quarterback, though. Holmes ran around until players got off the ground and sacked him. He could have thrown the ball away. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's supposed to be like this big, all-pro quarterback. Come on. Look for Shanahan coaches from the tree winning rings. I see what you're saying. Brady hates Nick Foles and Eli. He definitely hates Eli. Brady beat the Rams in 2002, and now Burrow has a chance to beat Rams in 2022. Also funny, if this was Brady's last game, it'd be funny that it came against the Rams, the team he won his first and 6th championship against. Takes 3-yard passes, 70 yards. Yeah, I know. Like I said, they don't be trying to tackle that nigga. They don't. It's like they want to race him. That's about it. What's good with you, Bronze Flat Power God in the building? He said Tigers eat Rams. Yeah, that's true. I never really thought about it, but yeah. They trade Lamar. Watch, they probably trade him for a white quarterback. Of course. The Bengals in the Super Bowl, hell is frozen over. I was just thinking of this, though. Since 2010, every team in the AFC North has been to a Super Bowl except for the Browns. That's something I never thought I'd say. That's crazy. It'd be something if the Bengals actually won that shit. See, Kyle McVay, LaFleur, all Shanahan tree coaches dating back to Mike. Andy Reid tree, yeah, they maxed out. And they better not trade Lamar, but we'll see. If you want to win the Super Bowl, you got to do it on a rookie deal like Joe Burrow doing right now. As soon as he get paid, he ain't doing shit. We'll see. Like Foles is a Christian pastor of a church. I feel like I've heard something like that about Foles. I guess we see what happens when we have both teams get the ball in overtime. Yeah. The NFL writes his career. So whatever. Yeah, every player's career, same shit. And if for some reason they're like, you got to ask yourself, what happened to so and so? He was good. Why did he never make it in the league? Why did he never pan out? That nigga might not have been with all the fake shit. Like Darren McFadden. He wasn't with it, so we saw what happened. He was always hurt, this or that. Cam let you down in the Super Bowl. I knew it was a wrap the moment that nigga did this shit right here. He pulled. I was like, yeah, this over. Except for probably winning the Super Bowl since he suffered 13 years in Detroit. That number 13 be popping up all the time. Yeah, that was the same year Kevin Garnett won his championship. The Niners swept the Rams in the regular season, so in traditional fashion, the Rams got their revenge in the playoffs. LeBron been doing that in the NBA for the last 50 years. He need to take his old ass on somewhere. That's what LeBron need to do. Say Lamar Mahomes wins award next year, but no ring. Lamar could be comeback player of the year. That's not, out of the realm of possibility. McNabb should have had a ring too. Gonna make him prove he's worth an extension. He has his 5th-year option, and they'll lose a lot of money. Yeah, someone pointed out on one of them, like, he missed, like, a black and orange target whenever he was playing darts. Or, no, they were throwing axes, and he missed. Someone pointed that out. Cleveland draft OBJ plus Cincinnati. Yeah, the Paranormal Circle. Yeah, you got that cool ass name. I forgot about that. I think is the best actor as far as quarterbacks for throwing games. Trying to think who's convincing. As far as their reaction after throwing a pick, Baker do look like he gets sick and tired of having to do that shit. That nigga really do look bad as hell. Baker be looking so frustrated. He like, bro, I'm so sick and tired of playing the fucking Cleveland, bro. Having to throw all these goddamn interceptions, bro. Like Joe Burrow, this is this nigga's 2nd year. He already going to a Super Bowl. I get all these goddamn progressive commercials. I get one playoff win, and now this shit. Like, come on. So I gotta be Baker, bro. Because you can see this nigga really do be frustrated. That's not acting anymore. That nigga just tired of where he playing, bro. That's like Matt Stafford. I promise you, after like his 8th year in Detroit, that nigga was sick and tired of that shit. He's like, bro, it's cool and all. We playing indoors, but man, fuck this team. I want to get to the playoffs. You know that nigga was thinking that shit. That's like shit. Imagine playing for the Bears. as a starting quarterback, yeah, you probably like bang your head against the wall every fucking game. The coaches probably got to talk you into actually running out there like, bro, I don't even want to play this shit, bro. Like we gonna get the fuck beat out of us. It's like, bro, they paying you millions, nigga. You better get your ass out there. It's like, bro, but we the Bears, bro. Aaron Rodgers owns this stadium. He already proved that on TV multiple times. Get your ass out there and fucking play. I promise you, some of them players got to be dragged out there, especially when they play for a shitty ass team. They stripped Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson of their money, forced them to retire and suffer, but Stafford gets to play in the Super Bowl. Yeah, I think the White said something about that too. That you knew how to, if after the trash ass wild card games, the rest of the playoffs was gonna be entertaining. I'm glad they picked it back up. I'm really glad of that. Packs are getting 6 for before anybody. They got the shout out to the Freemason fuck boys. Matt Stafford interview after the game. He said it couldn't have been ripped in a better story. Yeah, I saw that. Hey man, you know how teams are when it comes to black quarterbacks. But we saw what the Titans did when they had Steve McNair. Because they fumbled that situation too. So, like I said, there is definitely something going on behind the scenes in Baltimore. NFL poster Russ was handing Lombard. If you think that's hinting something, I have to go back and look at that. Tom Brady taking porn star Jimmy's job 8-3. That'd be funny. That'd be funny as hell. They don't let him do anything. No. The Rams traded for Matt Stafford 1 year ago today. Wow. That's hilarious. Did Rodgers to the Bucks. Say I've heard that one too. It actually hurt the Packers more to trade him. Also, he just sold his Cali home. I thought Jimmy G throwing all them ducks. Yeah, like he's a bad actor too, cause he smile. That nigga be smirking and everything after his picks. Brady retires. Rodgers wants no rebuild. He goes to the Bucks. Funny if he still has to throw championships out there too. Do you think people get confused with the NFL, NBA, or MLB and hockey being scripted? That's not about who wins, it's about how they win. That's the fake part about it. Yeah. There are little questionable things they do in critical situations. You don't get the 15 million incentives, and they gonna make sure that Golden Boy eat. The Rams, in Cleveland or Cincinnati. Speaking of baseball, the Braves won the World Series. Yeah. What's good with you? What's good with you?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you good.
Yes, sir.
So, what did you think of
Good.
the games this weekend?
So a little bit shocked with the second game, but then when I really thought about it, I'm not for a few reasons. Um, so the Rams have Ohio connections for anybody that is listening and watching. The Rams originally were the Cleveland Rams
Mm-hmm.
back in the day. They moved out of Cleveland to LA originally, I believe, um, because of the Browns. They don't want two teams there. So they moved out. Not only that, but if you look at Andrew Whitworth, he's a former Bengal. He
Mm-hmm.
has played against his old team for a Super Bowl. And I think he's like 40, 41, something like that. Then you got Sean McVay, who was from Dayton, Ohio. And he, like in the first Super Bowl he went to, Him and Edelman used to play each other in a match.
Oh, for real?
Yes, sir. Edelman was a receiver for Kent State. Shout out to another Ohio team. And McVay was a either a quarterback or he may have been a receiver too. But yeah, he and it was odd because of course McVay he was 33, and we know what that number means. He was
Mm-hmm.
33 at the time that he went to the Super Bowl and played against Brady and Edelman, and that was one of those things that they kept mentioning, like, oh, they played each other 10 years before. Um, and then another thing as well is Zach Taylor has before he became the coach of the Bengals, he was the Rams offensive coordinator.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Crazy how they
So
interwove all of that, to make it come full circle.
yeah, and I honestly I originally think it was the 49ers that they had in there, and I think it was too obvious for people. You know how that works.
Yeah.
And so they hey, it's 17-7. I forget the guy who missed the wide open interception. I mean, come on. I mean, it literally was
Oh, Tart. Yeah, like it hit him square in the gloves and everything like that. Hit him right in the chest. Yeah.
yeah, right in the gloves. Like, I mean, he could have caught it and fell down. You know what I mean? Like, it was just too easy. And then after that, you could see like, not saying that Cooper Cup isn't good, right? Cooper Cup is
Mm-hmm.
good, but he seemed to exactly what happened at the end of the Tampa game. He just turned into like a super all star. You know what I mean? Just wide open and making
They
every
can't
catch.
tackle him suddenly. Yeah, I know. Yeah, making him look like a superhero. Yeah.
And it's crazy how that ends up working out. But before that, I was just thinking like, like obviously the 49ers have a history with the Bengals, but then I was looking at all the history the Rams had, like I said, from Whitworth to McVay to Zach Taylor. I was just like, it makes sense. And then, LA, a bigger thing is if you look at them ticket prices, y'all, look at them ticket prices on, Tick Pick or StubHub, take your pick, whatever you want to go and do.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of them ticket prices for nosebleeds, six, seven, $8,000. Bengals
Yeah.
fans, don't be wrong, some paying it, some gonna pay their tax money, but they got to sell out a new stadium full of N95 masks and 60,000.
Yeah, they trying to bring in that big bag.
LA, a lot of them in LA, that ain't no problem. So it'll be a pro LA crowd.
Who you got winning it then? Because I'm leaning Cincinnati with all the
Uh,
Joe connections.
so we had messages each other back and forth. Shout out to you, by the way. Um, a few weeks ago, and I knew for a fact the Bengals were going to win the first two. It was just too obvious for just a few different reasons, like the whole connection with the Titans, being old Oilers and the Raiders, and then playing back to back. So then when they got to this game, it was like I was more sure if they played the Bills that they were going to go right,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was like, and of course, as you well documented, the whole 13 seconds thing, which was ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Uh, with Gabriel Davis, and sadly, I knew they were done when he threw the touchdown with 13 seconds. Davis had, as you talked to somebody at the 201, and I'm like, 201, huh? Like, you ain't getting another yard, which he did not. And then, of course, Mahomes, boom, boom, boom down the field. So then I was like, well, Chiefs, Bengals, I don't know, a lot aligned for both. But one of the things I was said to people last week was if it goes into overtime, because they were making it such an emphasis, anytime uh, they make point of emphasis, for a storyline or certain things, you always got to check on that. So they kept saying, well, a lot of people were mad that Allen didn't get the ball, and so I told people, they said a little stat on Twitter on ESPN that said teams are now 10-1 when they get the ball first and score. They basically score and win.
Yeah.
So, so I say that to say this: Mahomes had a lot of line because if he won the Super Bowl, he would have been 10-2, like 102, which is if you look in the gematria, is the N word number, right? 102, 30, 42. So there was that going for him. But on the other side, what was going for him, or what was going against them, even though I thought they would win because so when it was 21-3, and remember they got had 5 seconds left,
Mm-hmm.
they did that dumbass play. And I'm like, that's interesting. Like, and he thought he had timeouts. They didn't. And I said that left the door open. And if you notice, from that point on, with 5 seconds left, until literally they kicked that field goal, they did not score at all.
Yeah, like that whole game. I swear they run the same script for all the games in the divisional on. The exact same script. One team's always gonna get up big. It's gonna sway bets. Second half, the team that was trailing suddenly makes a game out of it
If you
every
live,
single week.
if you live bet, I'm not sure what state you're in, but if you're able to live bet even on an offshore account, y'all, like that's gonna be the new wave to make money because at one point before the interception, and you have to kind of do it fast because obviously the players are going through. Before the
Mm-hmm.
interception of Mahomes, the Bengals. Now, mind you, they were down 21-10 at that point. Do you know they were 15-1 to win that game?
Really, I didn't know that.
And if you bet at different times, they were anywhere from 3 to 6-1. And I was watching the game literally on my phone, live betting, like, oh, 3-1. Let me put $5 on it. 6-1. Let me put $10 on it. And I just kept looking. Like you got to do it because obviously, they're down, but it's one of those things where they know that heavy money because people don't really think of it being a narrative.
Fake.
They know that
Yeah.
that live money is going the other way, so most is going on the cheap. So the interception happened real quick, and the next thing you know, it went from 15-1 to 2-1 real quick, like boom boom. And I was like, 21-3. Super Bowl's on 2/13. That's just when the wheels start clicking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
and look at I see the Mahomes he actually took today, and I was stunned. But if you look, I heard a little bit of you before I came on. Um, these guys, some sell the jig better than others. Jimmy G's on house money. He's a two-time Super Bowl winner, even though most people don't know or care about that. He's a Super Bowl attendee. He makes hundreds of millions of dollars. Fuck porn stars. F or F. I don't know. Sorry, but
Nah, you can cuss. I don't care.
you get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, yeah.
this dude, this dude's already winning in life. So it's like, does he really care about like, hey, I gotta throw this ball into the stands or whatever the hell I gotta do? No,
He don't care. No, I mean he playing in San Francisco. I was talking about like somebody like Stafford in Detroit or Baker in Cleveland or something. Oh yeah, I bet they feel some type of way a little bit.
right? And of course, people are laughing about it being scripted, but this is the thing. So I'm a huge wrestling fan, right? Huge wrestling. So it is funny because for years I used to say, and I wanted to tell you this over air instead of in text. For years, I wanted I looked at it like this: you have your stars, quarterbacks, receivers, etc., that are like, and I'll go back in the day for people to be, you know, in the know, like your Stone Cold, The Rock, Undertaker. These guys are Shawn Michaels. They're always going to be up a level higher, right? But then,
Headliners.
right, headline. Shawn Michaels once said, and I quote, I only work one match. This is when he was in his heyday, the main event. I'm not going to be at the bottom, whatever. So that's like Tom Brady. Like obviously Tom Brady lost the Rams, whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
most of the time, this dude's on prime time or in a prime spot in AFC Championship games, literally like LeBron or Super Bowls. That's it. That's the standard. I say that to say this. And I used to say, unless you have a quarterback or somebody like Ray Lewis that the NFL is going to market at a high level, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then your team, unless you're like, well, hell, even with the Giants had Eli, Michael Strahan, right? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They'll give you a sort of push. Like Jalen Ramsey got a taste of what main event is, if you want to call it that, by being with the Jags, right? Leonard
Yeah.
Fournette
Yeah.
being with the Jags. Like people forget, just a few years ago, the Jags were in there, but it wasn't necessarily for the Jags. It was for them to get a taste. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You get them a little bit of experience, so they're acclimated to it.
Right. Like Dwight Howard. Hey, we're gonna put you. Hell, you can look at any of these guys in Orlando back in the day, Dwight, Shaq, Penny. Hey, let you highlight against a main eventer like the A-lister, but until you leave Orlando, guess what? You're going to lose to this guy. So of course, Ramsey's back in the Super Bowl. You know, obviously Odell's getting super spotlight, so everybody's shaming Baker. Not saying they shouldn't, but you see what I'm saying? Like that's
Von
how
Miller's
the
back in the Super Bowl as well.
right Vaughn. Yeah, Vaughn. Just, I mean, think about it. How is their cap working? Like they literally have no picks for like 2 or 3 more years. Matt Stafford, they traded all this stuff for. Jalen Ramsey, they paid a bunch of money. You know, Von Miller gets traded for peanuts, and Denver's like, oh yeah, we want him away, so we'll pay his salary for him to be there. Come on, like Cooper Cup is a superstar, but if you notice, on a side note of that, there's always some super duper white, no offense to white people, super duper white receiver out there. Like there just is Edelman. I mean, you go back in
Wes
the day.
Welker, Eric Decker, Jordy Nelson. Well, here's a name for you: Brian Finneran from the Falcons.
Yep,
Drew
yep.
Bennett from the Titans. Yeah.
Drew Bennett led them in.
Brandon Stokely from the Colts. Yeah, and the Broncos.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep. There's always at least one in the league. Cooper, think about it. He breaks all these records or is close as the same with what's our guy Calvin. You know, he didn't break him, but he was close enough to him.
Yeah.
Stafford,
Yeah.
Stafford does what he does. Everybody's like, oh, Stafford. You know, like look at Stafford, and it's like, this dude, couldn't. I mean, he had some highlights against like Browns stuff with the Lions, but he was a perennial loser. And then, of course, I mean, sure, at this point, he hasn't done anything that Jared Goff hasn't done, but that's a whole nother story. I mean, yards wise, of course, he's done it, but people forget that Stafford probably is born and bred to be too, as far as being a Manchurian athlete, right?
Oh yeah, he played baseball with Clayton Kershaw growing up.
Yes, sir. And then now he's out in L.A. and living it up
Kershaw
and
plays for the Dodgers, and now Stafford plays for the L.A. Rams and shit. Yeah.
right, right. And so what I've figured out over to keep using the wrestling analogy over the last few years is this: they've gotten good on a lot of the community that know things, learning it and learning how they you know rig, if you want to call it rig games or whatever. They figured it
Mm-hmm.
out. And so there's a lot of times, look at Aaron Rodgers versus 49ers last time, not this year, but a couple years ago they played. It's a lot of, hey, Aaron, before you go out there, here's what we're doing. And he looks like, he has I call it the baloney face, where he's just like, and he's a terrible actor with it. When he knows, I mean, this year he kind of sold it, but normally when they're playing terrible, you can just see on his face, like, I don't even want to be out.
It's like him on that Christmas card photo. You know, like the newest one. Aaron Rodgers looks mad as hell.
Yes,
That's
sir.
him every time they got to lose a game.
Yeah,
Same with Brady. Brady is bad when it comes to losing. He can't play it off.
yeah. And the thing is, when you can tell when he isn't, because it's just like the Rams game, right? So they're playing the Rams and they were down. Obviously, they let them come back a little bit, but like
Mm-hmm.
normally he's cussing people out. If you go back to the Denver year, Super Bowl 50, he literally threw a pass right to Von Miller. Like literally, like you go back and watch this, like third quarter, throws it right to him. Only nothing but an orange shirt in the way, and everybody's like looking around, and I'm like, Brady isn't even mad. He's just like, whatever. And I'm like, that should tell you that's how bad of like his body language is. Like he's cussing people out. Like Atlanta game, he's cussing people out. But when it's just like, yeah, it is what it is. He's just like, eh. He doesn't put his head down and do the whole, you know, mean thing. None of that. He's just like, whatever.
Yeah, and just keeps it pushing.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yep.
like Jimmy G. Jimmy G, he'll smart, go right off the field like nothing happened.
Yeah, because he already like I said, he's in the house money mode of his career, and he's going to get another nice, you know, decent contract. And like I said, no matter what, he will always be a Super Bowl attending quarterback, and he has two rings. So I mean, even if he does literally nothing else, you know what I mean. And with the what multiple championship games with uh the 49ers, so it's just like
Yeah, yeah. His resume straight.
yeah, he doesn't have to do anything, and that's what people have to realize. Like, what does somebody like say for instance Mahomes? He signed that big contract, and for the most part, these guys who have signed super duper big contracts, they don't win shit. At least not right away, right?
Yeah.
Russ gets paid. He's there, but you know what I mean. He's not even on the total pole. Mahomes. Well, people were like, "Well, Mahomes won." Yeah, he won before he got the big contract.
The big 500 mil or whatever, yeah.
Right. And you could you saw the game. Look at his face from the mid third quarter on. Like he looked like, and of course they'll be like, well, he was playing backyard football, which he does too. But he just looked like a guy who was like an Aaron Rodgers who was just out there. Like they told him, hey, we're going with this. Burrow's going to make the big comeback, and there you go. And he was just like, okay, I got paid. You know,
Yeah, like yeah, I'm on all these State Farm commercials and stuff like that, so it's whatever.
yeah. And I know at least on our end, because I'm actually in Cincinnati. There were so many people who were freaking watching these State Farm. It was like every other commercial was State Farm and him in it. And I'm like, he's going, yeah. I'm like, he's going to make the Super Bowl no matter what. Like, even if he doesn't make the Super Bowl.
Yeah, yeah, they gonna find a way to get him to push through there. You know what I'm saying?
And so I think the Bengals have a really good shot. There's a few different reasons. I think Burrow is the guy. Like Stafford, he doesn't have to win. And then you got Odell. Like, I mean, people like some of the guys on the team for the Rams, but like, if you're not in LA, it's just like with the Chiefs. If you're not in LA or if you weren't in Kansas City, people want like Burrow to finally be, you know, basically LeBron, right?
Yeah, yeah, the hometown kid. He's like the hometown hero.
Right. And by the way, I want to say this to you too, and you guys can look it up for reference. Joe Mixon's biggest college game as were against Patrick Mahomes,
Say that again.
or not Joe Burrow. Joe Mixon's biggest playoff game, or not playoff game, college stat games were against Patrick Mahomes.
Texas Tech. Wow. Oh yeah, and it's known in the Big 12 they don't play defense, so
Ooh.
there's that too.
On one, he had almost 300 all-purpose yards. I think he was at like 270 something. He had like
Yeah.
him and
And when he
Baker. You
teammates with
killed it.
Samaje Perine too, because I know Perine
Yep.
was at Oklahoma too.
Him,
Damn.
P. Ryan, Baker. Hollywood Brown for a minute,
Yeah.
I think, freshman
Mark
year.
Andrews.
Yep, Mark.
Shit, that team was loaded on offense. Holy shit! And I remember
Yeah,
seeing one of them Baker teams play in when they played in Tennessee at Neyland Stadium. It was the one that had D.D. Westbrook when they played in
I
overtime.
remember that.
Yeah, I think that was his Heisman year too.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
remember
think
that.
so.
And I find it ironic that Baker put the flag in the Ohio State, um, you know, thing, and then they had to play in
Yeah.
Ohio. But that's kind of
Oh shit, you right. I ain't catch that. You right.
yeah, yeah.
Damn.
People forget that. Yeah. But you see
Shit.
how it is. Like they do. Yeah. Shout out to somebody saying the year of the tiger. It starts February 1st. But that's how they do. Like if you notice, and like I'm big into college. I'm actually big into high school recruiting. So I remember when guys like Julio were being offered scholarships. They go, he goes to Alabama or Amari and some of these other guys, and how they end up going from like oh, you're here to oh, this dude definitely has the body build or whatever to be a star. It like you you just know like with some guys you just know.
Yeah, yeah.
And with Burrow, like uh ironically, even before I actually figured out the year of the Tiger stuff, I was like, man, they got two. They actually have more because Thaddeus Moss, I think he is on the bench, but not bench. What do you call that? He's on the practice squad, I believe of, and he was at LSU. And
Mhm.
then one of their not safeties, one of their guards, they're there to show the picture of him. Was holding him up during the national championship game, and he was holding him up today. I forget his name, like Shelton or something like that.
Mhm.
And it's like, damn, y'all got like 4 or 5 LSU players. You know what I mean? Sitting on the
That's
team.
like LSU is like one big Monarch athlete program. Like when it comes to football, holy shit. Like
I mean, just
Justin
think about right now.
Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, Clyde Edwards Hilaire. Like it's Joe no, that's Oklahoma. But still like so many people.
Right, right. If you look at the team, I mean, at one point they had literally like three, it's like 3 or 4 different receivers with Joe Burrow who are all in the league. Then you got Joe Burrow himself. Then Edwards Helaire was a first round pick, and then that's not even going on the defensive side of the ball. You know what
Yeah,
I
on
mean?
top of
Like,
that.
yeah. And the thing is that the way they market certain guys in college, not everybody obviously is going to be like that guy, but you can just see it. And with Burrow, like his swagger, all that stuff, and then hey, I'm an Ohio kid, and blah blah blah. Like it just gave me, obviously we'll see what happens in 2 weeks, but it gave me those LeBron type vibes of hey, you know,
This
they're
is a
not going.
big deal. He's a big deal. You should care. He's bringing back Cleveland sports, making it relevant again. Yeah, that. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is that um, so the Bengals, people forget like if you go as far as Super Bowl lineage, of course, people get caught up in last 10 years, 20 years, but in the '80s, like from when what is it, Terry Bradshaw retired, like the
Mm-hmm.
Bengals and Browns like literally ran the '80s of the NFL Central. Well, or not NFL Central, AFC Central. Uh, they were basically in championship. They were in 4 championship games over that period of time. Like the Bengals went back. Remember, hell, the Bengals haven't lost the AFC Championship game now, so they're undefeated. They went 2 in the '80s, one now. The Browns, of course, they lost to John Elway, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they went. The Steelers, they were a dumpster fire. So like people look at the Bengals now as like obviously what happened in the '90s and Timo von Ohoffen running into Carson Palmer's leg, but they don't look at them like, hey, they used to be something. And another thing too is that Cincinnati is one of the only, well, there's 27, but one of the only places that has a Jesuit school as far as college.
Mm-hmm.
with Xavier. So there's a lot of, Jesuit, Catholic ties that, it's full of Catholic money down
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that about Cincinnati though.
there. Yeah, yeah, Xavier. So if you look at, uh, just go on and look at the Big East. So the Big East used to be nothing but Catholic schools. And then of course they have football and basketball. But if you look at all the teams that are in the Big East in basketball now, they're all Catholic.
Shit, who's in the? It was all a bunch of teams that aren't even in the East anymore, like Wichita State and fucking Creighton and
Mm-hmm.
shit.
Yeah, they're a Jesuit school. They're out in like Nebraska or yeah, I think
Oh
Omaha,
yeah,
Nebraska.
Creighton's Omaha. Wichita State's obviously Wichita.
Yeah, Gonzaga's a Jesuit school. Yeah,
Shit, you're right. St. Mary's.
man, yeah,
That's another one.
yeah. Like if people realize, so not saying that you can't make it, and even do like what you're doing, have a show, be awesome and stuff. Like I tell people all the time, like there's certain levels to it, so you can get far on your own, but it's kind of like again using the wrestling term, the push they call it. If you have obviously if you're in wrestling, you have Vince McMahon behind you, you're gonna go. If you're his guy, they're gonna push you. Same thing with you look at LeBron, went to a Saint Vincent Saint Mary's Jesuit Catholic school,
You're
and
right.
then goes further Marquette, where D Wade went.
Same
Same
thing.
thing. You see what I'm saying? Like they Carmelo, he went to prep schools and stuff. Like
Then Syracuse, yeah.
once you get earmarked, then it's just like, okay, not saying everybody is gonna be, LeBron or something like that, but you're definitely going that way. Like this look people should just go and look back at their, some of their high school friends or not even high school friends per se, but like, people be like, oh man, I played against such such in high school and I went to a public school. Yeah, there's a reason why, he is where he is. There's a reason why Josh McDaniels keeps getting jobs, and some of these retread guys keep getting jobs over and over and over again, even though they don't deserve them. Hell, look back at the old Washington from what 5 6 years ago, or whenever RG3 was there. They had
Yeah.
John McKay, Cal Shanahan, and I forget the other guy, but they're all three like coaches.
One no one's Zach Taylor. I forgot. I forgot who it was. It was somebody else. But yeah, it's crazy how they all have coaching jobs now.
Yeah, that's definitely the thing. I mean, I think like all these guys, you know, of course, Cal Shanahan. You gotta look at who his dad was. John McVay, his dad was like a coach back in the day. Zach Taylor, his dad was like a coach or something back in the day. So it keeps it in that wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it's like, hey Cal, your dad won two Super Bowls, and this is the thing, I would not be shocked. Of course, we're younger, but I wouldn't be shocked because this dude has another 30 years of coaching, right? So I wouldn't be shocked if this dude end up winning a Super Bowl like his dad when he's in his like 50s or 60s, right?
Yeah, yeah. Just late as hell in his career.
Yeah, it's just like with Andy Reid, right? Like he went to four straight with the Eagles and the Chiefs. Had people forget how many talented quarterbacks and players this dude had, right? Like
Yeah.
insanity. Like you went
And
from McNabb to, I mean, I'm not going to do the whole order, but you get what I'm saying. McNabb, Vick, Mahomes, Alex Smith. Alex Smith wasn't chopped liver. Hell, how many of those guys were top 10 picks? All of them were.
yeah, that's right. Shit.
I don't care if they're like some people care if they're oh such such was trash. That means nothing to me as far as like if you were picked in the top 10, you were a top 10 pick. Mahomes was, Vic was number one, Alex Smith was number one, McNabb was number two. You hear me?
Yeah, yeah. Like all top prospects.
Yeah. And then people were like, well, Andy Reid goes to the championship game. Yeah, people went above them because at the end of the day, nobody really cared about McNabb. So, you know, Brady, McNabb, we already know how that's going to go. Vic, you think they were letting Vic win anything? No.
He was
You can
coming
throw
off of that dog fighting thing, so yeah, they was really not finna have that.
correct. Correct. Like, they definitely weren't going to let him have it, right? Because this is like, hey, we'll let you put Philly on the map. But that was more so to like, hey, what can you do with. I feel like that was a test for Andy. That was his, you know, for a lack of better term, getting into heaven type test. Like, hey, you got Vic, back where he's making money, and okay, this is what you can do with the athletic quarterback. So now when you go to the Chiefs, like you're gonna have Alex Smith, and then people forget Alex Smith was out here throwing 300-yard games against Andrew Luck in the playoffs with Dexter freaking McCluster. Like,
Oh yeah, I forgot about Dexter McCluster. That's a name.
yeah, I think the final was either 35, 38, or something like that when they played the Colts. That was the year of the Deflate Gate.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people forget that, and so me and a buddy of mine, we talk about all the time when they're like, "Oh, you know, Mahomes is making all these throws. Look at Mahomes in the playoffs." Alex Smith was in the playoffs first. Right?
Yeah.
Like, like, and ironically, just the sad part to show you how I guess maybe reverse racism. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's funny because most times it's the opposite of this in real life. But Alex Smith keeps losing his job to black men.
Damn. Yeah, Kaepernick, Mahomes.
Kaepernick, Mahomes. He lost
Who in
it to like
Washington?
Dwayne Haskins, I think,
Ah, fuck. That's true. That is true.
when he
Wow.
blew his leg out. Yeah,
Yeah, and Haskins had to come in the game. Yeah, his unfocused ass. Yeah.
right. But on the side note, most of those, even though I don't like Ohio State being in the state anyway, but most of those Ohio State quarterbacks, ironically, are
Never
terrible.
pan out.
Yeah, ironically, the best uh, quarterback Urban Meyer actually had was, as far as in college that went and just on the pros, was Alex Smith.
Yeah. Yeah, because all Ohio State, who they have? Troy Smith. He won a Heisman, didn't do shit.
Nope. Terrell
Who
Pryor.
turned into a wide receiver. He wasn't a bad one though.
Yeah, Terrell
Cardale
Pryor.
Jones fell off the
Yeah,
map.
yeah,
JT Barrett, I don't even know what happened to him.
yeah. He's probably working at T-Mobile.
Damn, that's cold.
Yeah, I'm just saying. He probably served y'all some phones Saturday, but got to get the 5G. But yeah, JT Barrett, Cardell, then Dwayne was the guy, and then of course DJ. But the thing is that I'll just say this real quick as far as Ohio State quarterback, they let them focus in on the same thing, which is it is smart. Is hey, we have fast receivers, and we'll just say in college, 85% of the DBs you play aren't fast enough or they're not being coached right to deal with your speed. So, hey, run this drag route. I'm telling you, you can literally just close your eyes and watch or listen to a play, and they'll say, oh, this guy runs a slant, catches it, and runs, 70 yards down the field. Everybody's like, oh my God. And it's like, yeah, the separation was huge. And if you notice, ironically, even though he didn't go to Ohio State, Mahomes is
Mm-hmm.
like same way, bro. The same way. Like if he can't extend the play and just literally, throw it across his body, which is probably not smart, he's just like, oh well, he'll streaking across the field. Let me throw it to him. Or Hartman, they got all these fast guys, and
Yeah,
so
he can just chuck it up.
yeah. And he even said himself last or earlier this year, he said, yeah, I really don't read defense. And I'm like, I knew that. Like, how did people not notice that you really don't? It's like, hey, look, Kelsey's wide open on, running down the field like earlier. Let me throw it to him. That's
Yeah,
what he
like
does on
it
third down.
don't it don't even make sense. Like You would
Yeah,
if you had looked at him play, you would never have known this nigga was playing football his entire life from that second half.
yeah. And I think a lot of that too is um, if you look up his, even though it's apples and oranges, if you look at his baseball career, the way he plays baseball, like I think he was a shortstop. His dad was a pitcher.
Yeah.
So is and so and as a guy who played baseball for a long time, I know, especially from the shortstop position, like Barry Larkin here in Cincinnati, he was huge. Obviously, Ozzie Smith, and there's some other guys, Omar Vizquel. If you look at the arm angles they throw from, right
Mm-hmm.
side up, because a lot of times they're jumping, they're going way far back, jumping, trying to just get umph on the ball, and that's Mahomes. So it's like, and don't get me wrong, it's a great skill, but it's just like honestly, if more he, obviously your dad is a baseball pitcher, so he's going to be out there and say, hey, look, I know you like to play football, but do this with a football. So it's easy to him, like the different
Mm-hmm.
arm angles and flinging it. And so his problem is he gets so comfortable with that in game. He'll get comfortable and just play backyard football. But also, as you know, again, Big 12 quarterback, these fools throw 50, 60 times a game.
Yeah, that gunslinger mentality, and that's the one of the things whenever he came into the league was he's a gunslinger.
Yeah. I said, honestly, I mean, and I know it's going to sound bastardized, but Alex Smith had a certain level and you knew he was going to be capped off. And I think part of that was because, he just wanted to keep his job. So, hey, I'm going to do this. The thing black quarterbacks do, well, Kaepernick obviously was a super runner, so that's why they were like, yeah, we'll give you the keys. And then with Mahomes, they already knew his arm talent. Like, hey, he'll just throw the ball 80 yards downfield for no reason, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
we love that instead of Alex Smith, who is, you know, he had Kelsey and those guys and helped them out, but he's not like, hey, I'm going to throw the ball 90 yards downfield. So with a guy like him, you're going to get boom or bust. You're going to get like what you get because he honestly doesn't know any different. Like, and I said this to somebody last week on Twitter, and uh, I was getting scolded by Chiefs fans. I said, give Mahomes, I said, give him the Lions offense, or I said, give him just not even the Lions, give him somebody that's like C minus, right? Like,
Like an average offense, nothing with all these speedsters and stuff like that on the team.
yeah, like I'll give you a perfect example. If you gave him the Eagles guy, right, without Andy Reid, but with because Devontae Smith is good, and Jalen Rager he can't catch a cold sometimes, but and Dallas Goddard he's not Travis Kelsey, but he's decent, right? I said,
Yeah.
would he be doing what he's doing? No, he would be like an upgraded Jalen Hurts, like this, like that's who he would be. Like he wouldn't be like as bad as Jalen Hurts, but it's like, would you really care about like, oh, Mahomes is like leading them to the stratosphere? Nobody be saying that. But Andy Reid, he draws up schemes for those guys. They have Kelsey, who's all world, Hill, who's all world. I can't really get down with that dude because, he broke his son's arm, but, to each their
Yeah.
own. Like, I mean, he's a phenomenal player, right? Phenomenal player. It's just like Carl Malone to me, for, the older guys out there watching. Carl Malone, great player, but, he was a shitty human being, right? Like,
Yeah. Oh, I've heard the stories about him. Yeah, and the one of him and Kobe's wife and all that shit. Yeah, I didn't heard
oh,
about that.
if you get a chance, read Phil Jackson's book, the last season. Dear God, I read it in like real time when all that happened.
Oh shit.
And,
I haven't heard the real time story. No.
oh, like I mean, I don't want to, too much slander Kobe right now. Obviously, God rest his soul. But like when they said stuff about the rape case, literally in the book, anybody can go read it. He said, well, when we heard about the rape case, like we weren't surprised. Like who says that, right?
Wow.
That's it.
Wow.
Those are word for word. Like we weren't surprised. Like we're not saying he did
Damn.
it, but we're not surprised. Like
That shit
you know,
popped up around his name. Wow.
yeah. And then he was talking about how, if you remember, I forget who interviewed him, but they were on the sideline. It may have been the Easter game or whatever, but Carmelo had just hurt his shoulder, and he was
Mm-hmm.
sitting sideline, and Vanessa was there, and Vanessa was like wearing not a. I'll never forget that. I don't know if they have video of this stuff up still because of everything going on or not, but she was
Mm-hmm.
wearing not a Kobe jersey. She was wearing a Karl Malone jersey, and he had a cowboy hat on, and she took his cowboy hat, and he said something along the lines on the thing of like, yeah, that's like she's my favorite Mexican cheerleader, or it was something like that. Now, mind you, we were
Yeah,
young,
yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah.
but it was something like that. And I remember it was on TV, and I just remember it was bizarre because no, I mean, not saying you can't wear whoever's jersey, right? But like,
Mm-hmm.
it would be like you have a wife and she's wearing this guy who you're on the team's jersey when he's hurt and sitting next to him and like half flirting with him. So it was. I'll just say this: it was super wild. So um, allegedly, of course, there was an altercation after that, like a game or so after that in the locker room, and Kobe went up to Carl, and Carl was basically like, "Yeah, I said this, this, and this about her. What you gonna do about it?" And Kobe didn't want to smoke. So
Mm.
yeah, and I'll just
Sounds
leave it at
about
that.
right.
But it sounds about right when Karl Malone is 6'9" and built like a Mack truck. So
Yeah, niggas
like
don't want no smoke with him. No.
yeah, like shout out to beating up Chris Childs, but Chris Childs is like 5'10" and nobody cares. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But on
Super
the other
legend.
side, of that, I think with as far as with these games and stuff with Mahomes, like it almost his career sort of seems like, even though he went to another Super Bowl already, is heading in
Mm-hmm.
that Aaron Rodgers, you know, uh, trajectory, I guess you would call
Well, you mean he's gonna win one earlier on, but then after that not win anything?
it. Like I still feel like, I mean, until Rodgers, unless he pissed him off too much, I feel like Rodgers may get to another one, but obviously time's ticking on that. But of course, he's one of the older names, so he still has time, at least about another 2, 3 years. But on the other side of that, with Mahomes, it's like, hey, we need to push the next generation AFC guy real quick. And
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
him and Curry, even though Curry came up a little bit faster, they got the skin for the it being in, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like, because us dark skinned brothers, like Lamar, like honestly, one of the reasons why I pivoted to the Bengals when I started noticing stuff, at least it be Bengals and Chiefs, was Lamar, and I had him on one of my fantasy teams. He was playing, and then he plays the Browns, and then next thing you know, seriously, like, oh, he's hurt, and I'm like, he hurt his ankle on
Yeah,
that
he didn't
play,
even
like,
get hurt. Like I saw like the play where he got hurt. Nothing indicated that he actually got hurt. Nothing whatsoever on that play.
yeah, and then got COVID, like, oh, he may come back, but then got COVID, but then they're like, well, he's off the COVID list, but he is still like having a high ankle sprain. But I was like, the play that they said, it looked like a low ankle sprain.
Yeah, like it didn't make sense at all. Shit,
So
that's a yeah. He said Warren Moon. That is a good one. I forget about Warren Moon.
yeah, yeah. Warren Warren Moon, he well, of course they gave it to Doug Williams. But I think they gave it to Doug as far as Super Bowl. Um, they gave it to Doug Williams because he went to HBCU and they needed to help push it. No, and I'm not, and I say all of this stuff, not as far as me hating on my own right, but I'm just saying it from what they see and how they do things. As far as like Doug Williams being at a HBCU back in the day, and then ironically winning with the Redskins.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It writes itself. Then you push that through. Warren Moon had to go into Canada, even though, no offense to Doug Williams, he was way better of a quarterback than he was, right? But they didn't
Yeah.
want him. And then Randall Cunningham must have been too much of a nigga too because they wouldn't let him win. This is, you know what I mean? There's
Yeah,
no
yeah.
15-1, and then how he was with the Eagles, bro. Yeah, like it makes no sense at all. Because that '98 game, if you remember, do you remember? You know the championship game?
98? No, no. I
I
think
think,
I was like 4.
or was it '99? Okay, so I was 12, 13 at the time, and so that's the one where Minnesota played Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
So before the greatest show on turf, which happened after, like a little bit after that, they were supposed to be the greatest show on turf, right? Like they had everything. Uh, Jake Reed, Randy Moss, Chris Carter, Robert Smith, like
Yeah, yeah. Stacked ass team. Yeah.
Randall,
I was saying.
and if you ever hear the story, Gary Anderson. So there were two Andersons: Morton Anderson, who was with Atlanta, and then Gary Anderson, who was with Minnesota. But Gary Anderson had 40 field goals and never missed as far as that year.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then they were, even though they were up, they would have been up 10 or something like that if he makes it with like 5 minutes left. And then this fool missed like an easy one too,
Yeah, yeah. Cheap shot. Yeah.
right? And then of course Atlanta ties the game. They go. I believe the game goes to overtime. Atlanta wins. That was when they were doing the Dirty Bird and all this other crap. And I just was like, how did Minnesota, who had lost one game all year, beat Brett Favre, beat like these elite teams, struggle with? I mean, Jamal Anderson, he was a dog back then, but they had a bunch of like whoever, like Chris Chandler. Like, ask anybody right now who Chris Chandler is. They probably won't know anything about
Yeah,
him,
I know about
right?
Chris Chandler. Yeah. Most people
Yeah,
don't, but
he
yeah, I
was
know who
just
he
a
is.
he was just a guy. Like all these guys that they had, Terrence Mathis, they had just a bunch of guys besides small Anderson doing the Dirty Bird and stuff like that. And then they beat him. And then I was like, damn, how Randall Cunningham did all the stuff. They beat them. You fast forward a few years later, most of those guys are still together. Moss is still on the team. I think Chris Carter was still around in like 2000, 2001.
Mm-hmm.
Freaking, they get demolished like 40-0 by the Giants. I think that was the year 2000. Get
Yeah, yeah.
demolished
Was
by
it the
them.
Ravens? Yeah, Ravens
Uh,
won that one, 2000, if I
yeah, the
remember
Ravens
correctly.
won that against the Giants, but this was like the divisional game or something like that. And Minnesota was one of the highest scoring teams of the year. Lose to them, but that was when Dante Culpepper was there. And if you remember, I know you were younger, but anybody out there who can remember, he used to do the "Get Your Roll On."
Yeah, 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 yeah. That shit. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, he was in one of Birdman's videos.
I didn't know he was in Birdman's videos. I know him and McNabb were like the two who always did that shit.
Yep, yep. They used to be like, "Everybody gets your roll on" in the song, and he's in the video. Like that's how. I mean, I'm 35, but I go back and I remember those days. So I was like, uh, I was like, wait, this dude is in rap videos. And to me, again, I used to be like, I didn't care personally, but I always used to look at the NFL like, are they gonna put some nigga who's out there with Birdman with like a face tattoo, getting, what I mean,
Yeah, the
put
league was
him,
like, nah, not having that.
And a modern day version of that, obviously, is the Marshawn Lynch. I think you guys may have talked about that in another podcast you had or something. But
Mm-hmm.
it was like, could they let Marshawn run it in from the one and have? Yeah, obviously, he's in commercials here or there, but every time there's a Super Bowl ad, you would see his face and you know
The
be
gold
on.
grill and yeah, everything that comes with Marshawn Lynch. The league did not want that.
No, hey, here's Golden Boy Peyton Manning. Here's Golden Boy Tom
Brady,
Brady.
anything.
And here's this nigga with dreads out here.
Well, I'm doing no
Marshawn,
harm, but I
yeah,
know
like
people are
he's
scared
a
of
cool
him.
dude. Yeah, he's a cool dude, but the NFL, they're trying to sell merch, and not saying they don't sell his stuff all over, but it's just a different level. Like when we're talking about Super Bowl stuff, this stuff gets replayed, all season long in the biggest spots, all that stuff for advertisers. And Russ, he's different. Marshawn, obviously, if he would have ran it in, nah, we can't have that. Certain guys, Dante Culpepper, we can't have that. I'm thinking here soon, sadly, this is bigot. This is the way they go. But who was it? Lamar. Like they gave him MVP, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That
Mm-hmm.
that's honestly, and that's how I kind of slot too. If you notice, and they do that in the NBA too. So some guys they'll let again sniff a main event or be, hey, we'll let you get to an AFC Championship game and lose or whatever. And then some guys they'll say, see, look, he won the MVP, right? He's an
Mm-hmm.
all star, son. And they'll let you get to that level, but to get higher than that, nah. And Lamar, I mean, he's going to get paid. I'm pretty sure. They'll say the team wasn't healthy and all this other crap. He'll get
Mm-hmm.
paid, but it's like, will he get to an AFC Championship game with the
Maybe
AFC the way it is
one.
now?
Maybe
Maybe
one.
one,
Not even a guarantee that he wins it.
right? And that is true. He said somebody said they're there to win, sell tickets. Speaking of that, you remember what happened with Cam a few years ago?
Yeah. They won what 15-1. He won the MVP. Super Bowl he had to throw it. Then they make a big deal about him pouting after the Super Bowl and everything. How he had his hood on during the interview and the post game interview, giving 1 word answers and stuff. Yeah.
And part of that, I believe, obviously Burrow, we'll see what happens, but you, people forget. Technically, this man is a multiple time national champion because he won at Florida
Mm-hmm.
his freshman year, and then he won when he went the D2 one, and then he went to Auburn and won. And so when if I gave you you know award winning script every time, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
said, hey, you're going to be a winner. High school, college, get to the pro, and all you know is like winning. And then you have a year where you win the MVP, you do everything. And then they're like, okay, well, now you're going to lose to like Joe Rogan. You'd be like, what the fuck? That's basically what they did with him. Like, hey, I know you're the MVP, I know you're this, but you're going to lose to Peyton. And if you remember how I knew the jig was in, even though there's a lot of stuff, of course, going on with that. Shout out to Cam being related to Hugh P. Newton. But if
Mm-hmm.
but if you remember, um, when he fumbled the ball, he literally looked at it like it was like a bomb or
Like he just like hands in the cookie jar type shit.
something. Yeah,
Like you
like
thought that was like a Venus flytrap on that. Get him real
yeah,
quick.
like oh, let me. I'm supposed to get it, and people are like, he didn't want to get hurt. No, he like this is the thing that people got to realize, and really, when you think about it, it's almost kind of commendable, I guess you could say, as far as how people act when they have to do stuff. Some of these guys, they know how and when to sell. Ironically, they say that in wrestling. Like sometimes, like, hey, I need you to sell him, me doing something for you so that I look good. And this is what happened in this. Like, hey, I'm gonna throw this pick. Case in point, Dig in the Minnesota Miracle. That was the ultimate sell job, or bad sell job
Yeah,
because
the Saints defender just whiffs on the tackle to let Diggs look like the hero.
but if you look, and I actually looked into his name and stuff, not necessarily for the numerology, but just for like who was he and where was he from. This guy was like I think a fourth or fifth round pick who went to like he was a rookie, and I'm like, oh, no wonder why you didn't sell it like somebody who's been in the league for 4 or 5 years or whatever, because if you look, so the ball's in the air and he literally looked at Dig like about to catch it, and I feel like he was like, oh shit, okay, I'm gonna stay in here, I'm gonna run, but what if I hit him? Then I fucked up, but I gotta like try to hit him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what he did. He was like, and so he totally whiffed because if you're anybody, because I forget how many seconds left, all you have to do is say, okay, he throws the ball, he catches it. He could have literally stood the 5 yards back he was and tackled him, and the game was over.
Yeah, but nah, he wanted to be the hero. I guess push
Yeah,
him out of bounds.
yeah. But they told him, hey, do this. And then, of course, you can go to the Rams Saints game, which is completely egregious there with the script. Hey, they probably told him, like, hey, run into this guy, but not like whatever the fuck happened in that game. And that's what he
Yeah,
did. He was like, oh, threw the ball. This motherfucker ran into him like he was Goldberg or something, right? Like he was
yeah, chuck
fierce.
the fuck out of his ass.
And
They won
what's
for the
crazy
football.
is so that year because I figured it would actually be Rams Patriots. Like I had got on that train and stuck on it, and so I remember when the Saints were moving down the field, I was like, how the fuck are they gonna like? I didn't know how they were gonna piece it together if I was gonna be right. And then next
Mm-hmm.
thing you know, when he hit him, and mind you, it's right like on the video, it's literally right in front of the ref. Like the ref is literally right there, and he's like, whatever. And then people were like, oh yeah, it's just a bad no call. You only make that no call. There's no reason that should be a no call, right? Like I
Yeah,
got
no, because even on that play, one of the referees told the other ref don't throw a flag. Because one went to go grab his flag, and the other ref was like, don't.
right, right, right,
And
right,
that's
right,
the
right,
damning evidence that got him.
right. Like so that even makes it even more egregious when you think about it. It's like, no, and then somebody's like, no, we're gonna make sure of this, and it's just like with Roger Goodell. So, um, if you want to know, I mean, you kind of have to put it together. But obviously, he'll be at the Super Bowl. But when Roger Goodell is at these games, as far as playoff games, you know
Mm-hmm.
some shit is going down because
Oh,
he
yeah.
was,
Lights go out. Players throw the ball in the triple coverage. They do a whole bunch of crazy shit.
yeah, Mahomes just had 3 turnovers, and I found it interesting last week. All the games he could have been at last week, he was at the Bengals game. I'm like, that's odd. This motherfucker's never in Cincinnati at Bengal game.
And
Week
there he
after that,
was.
this week, they and it's funny because they never show this fool until the second half or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's there the whole time. So second half, they showed him like right before I think what's the name threw that interception. He had 3 turnovers. Like if you watch the game back, he had 3 turnovers from the time they showed Roger Goodell to the obviously the end of the game. Like
Mm-hmm.
and if you remember the infamous Minnesota Seattle game in University of Minnesota Stadium,
Yeah, Blair Walsh with the field goal. Yeah.
And I swear to you, maybe it's just in my mind, but if you look back at hindsight, I believe it literally goes like this. So I remember, like, my dad's a huge Seattle fan. So I had vested interest in the game. And I remember, who do you call it? Before Seattle did anything, and I think they had a one big long pass, and it was like 10-9 or something like that. And I remember I'm like, man, how is Seattle going to win this game? Because I think they're going to Super Bowl this year, whatever. And then this fool, Blair Walsh, they get all the way down there to like win the game, and I'm like, he ain't going to make the field goal, is he? Like, they're going to let Minnesota, because Bridgewater was there. People forget Bridgewater. Sadly, again, another black quarterback that they wouldn't let win shit. He's there. Like, it's that. Like, I'm telling you, like, just look back. Like, it, it's it's actually pathetic when you think about it. Like, Bridgewater, I'm not saying he's like Michael Vick, decent quarterback. They won't let this motherfucker win shit. I mean, you can just keep naming names unless you're like Russ or hell, they won't let Dak win. But that's a whole nother story. But they get all the way down there, and then before they went to kick, they showed when Minnesota got the ball, they're like up in the suite because I think Al Michaels and them were doing the game. They're like up in
Mm-hmm.
the suite is Roger Goodell, but when you saw Roger Goodell literally like with his back turned, I'm like, what the fuck? Like it's
It was just like a back shot of Roger Goodell, like the back of his head or something like that.
yeah, because he was turning around. He was turning around, and I remember that vividly. Because first I was like, why the fuck is he at the game when it's like -10 degrees, right?
Yeah.
It makes no sense. Like, cause that was one of the coldest games of like modern day football that they had. And mind you, I'm trying to remember who else they played that weekend, but I know they could have been other places. I'll just say it like that. So then, if you look, before he goes out there and kick, they were probably at the 50th time. Blair Walsh is the only one on the bench. Like, he's sitting on the sideline, so they cut into him. Then they get like a run or something like that, and they get closer. And this is before it gets all the way towards the end. This fool ends up on the phone, and I'm like, why the fuck would a kicker be on?
Yeah, that is odd. Yeah.
I'm telling you, like, look,
I didn't even know
anybody,
that.
anybody go back on YouTube, look up that game. If you can watch the live feed, you go towards the end of the game. He's on the phone, and I swear I was like, wait, he's gonna miss this, isn't he? Because he had that stone face, like, hey, we're gonna kill your family or something, right? Like,
Yeah, just like not a look of pure, I guess, pleasure, for lack of a better term. Yeah.
yeah, like, they, like we're gonna. So I'll say this real quick before I finish. So I call it what I believe happened to Paul Walker, right? From Fast and Furious and all that.
Mm-hmm.
What I believe happened to him because it just literally makes no sense. So obviously he was in those Fast and Furious movies. The guy who he was in the car with was a stunt driver, if you remember.
Mm-hmm.
Like, stunt driver, drives fast cars. Outside of that, in like little racing leagues, etc. Now, one of the cars was, I believe it was from Fast and Furious. Like, I forget if it was Ferrari, or whatever, but I believe it was from like one of the movies they did. And I believe because people can just look up bait car, look up bait car or whatever you want to do. As far as people, I've even seen YouTube videos where a guy was like, "Oh, my dad uses my fast car to go to the gym, and he put like a kill switch in it."
Mm-hmm.
So I say that to say this: I believe that how they do kill people, I think, well, with him in particular, was they put a shit in his car. So one of those, hey, you get in, you can't get out. You know how, hey, why are these windows rolled up? You're driving, say. even if they're driving fast, because they say they're driving like 120 miles an hour or some shit. You're
Mm-hmm.
driving, say, 80, 90 because you can handle it, and you're trying to press the brake. That motherfucker ain't working, and now you're going 120 miles an hour, and hey, like this is it, right? So
Yeah.
a lot of times in these car accidents, um, shout out to Blair Walsh getting his family probably out of one of those. Is they do that. Um, Another thing that they probably did to say Bob Saget and some of these other celebrities, I believe, also is they use arsenic
Mm-hmm.
because arsenic, the 33rd element on the periodic table,
Mm-hmm.
and odorless, whatever. Hey, yeah, Mr. Saget, come eat these, chicken wings down here. Next thing you know, you're up in your fucking room. Oh yeah, it was
Found
natural.
dead in the hotel room out of nowhere.
Yeah, but I feel like that's what they do even with these football players. By the way, with the Bengals, on that same wavelength as Blair Walsh, the Bengals had so many different rituals the last month, maybe
Mm-hmm.
hell, few weeks. The dude that was on, well, one of them from WKRP, he died today. And I don't know if
Mm.
you've heard that show, WKRP in Cincinnati.
I didn't hear about that one.
Yeah, and that show was on when the Bengals used to go to the Super Bowl back in the '80s.
Oh.
Yeah, look into that. So you see what I'm saying? They had that. Did you hear about Regina King?
Yeah, yeah. Regina King's son and all that.
Yeah, you know where she's from?
Cincinnati.
Yes,
Someone in the
sir.
chat mentioned that. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, she's from Cincinnati. The word Regina means queen. Cincinnati's
Queen
the queen
City. No,
city.
Queen City is Charlotte.
Yeah, they're both depending on who you got. Like,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
yeah,
okay. I got you.
yeah, 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 yeah. Charlotte definitely they, that's one of those things like they argue back and forth on. But you have that, and then her son dying at 26, and I found it interesting because she only had one son and it was her firstborn. But if you look at all the stuff that she's like done, as far as like produced and shit like that,
Mm-hmm.
like it's like her stock. I mean, it's been up anyway, but you get what I'm saying. Like it just goes, you know,
Oh, yeah, it's gonna keep going up, skyrocketing.
yeah, yeah. Because I remember you had somebody on a couple weeks ago, a dude from New Orleans. Y'all were talking about it, and as far as like how the rituals go and stuff like that, and the part that a lot of people don't get, either watching your videos or other people's, is that they'll say, "Oh well, you know, you said that such and such to automatically win because they had, five rituals for them," and I'm like, a lot of the time it's a ritual for them just to be as far as like, okay, I'll just throw a random team. So the Milwaukee Bucks are obviously they went to the NBA Finals, but they just got to the playoffs. Well, that's a ritual in itself, right? It's just like
Mm-hmm.
some idiot rapper having a album out and then their friend dies. It's like, yeah, their album didn't go number one, but they
But
still,
that was part of their album release was for their friend to die or whoever to get shot up.
yes, sir, yes, sir. And I think a lot of people they can't see that. And obviously, sometimes there's more rituals than others. And like I said, Cincinnati, you see basketball, you see, or not you see basketball. I'm sorry, you see the football team. And I told people, I said, damn, you could just tell like right, they played Brian Kelly, a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Played Brian Kelly a few years, or not a few years ago. He left a few years ago, like 10 years ago, to go to Notre Dame. Then when in his last season at Notre Dame, he loses to UC. UC goes to the championship, the playoff, and then he leaves to go to LSU. Like, and it was just like a big circle. Like, like that's interesting. Now he's down at LSU. Obviously, LSU's been killing it. Then you have UC who's been killing it. as far as in football, and then you have the Bengals right after that go to the Super Bowl. So the Bengals made the Final Four, and uh, the Bearcats did.
Fuck yeah. Cincinnati, the Bearcats, and the Bengals. I'll be down.
Yeah, and
Shit,
that
I ain't
a
think
lot of
about
times,
that.
right? And a lot of times you got people got to think of it like this. Um, so with the team, I always look at it as what do they have to gain in either like a certain player being there, moving up, or like LA has a few different things. Um, if you remember when a few years ago, obviously the Falcons didn't win the Super Bowl, but they were trying to get that new stadium deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the last game in Georgia Dome was what, the NFC Championship.
Yeah, well, they beat, was it Seattle? Or was it
Green
Green
Bay,
Bay?
Green Bay, yes sir.
Yeah.
So they beat Green Bay. What does that do? Help boost tickets for the next year. So
Mm-hmm.
they sell that stadium. SoFi, obviously, and I'll go on record now, not saying that Herbert won't make at least one AFC Championship game in his life, because I think he'll at least do that. But everybody's like, well, Herbert is the next big thing. If you look at I still call him San Diego. If you look at the Chargers, I just don't even feel like they're worthy enough to be in LA. I'm sorry.
They
Like
don't have fans in LA. It's okay.
only Rey Mysterio. That's guys who
That's
wear Rey
funny.
Mysterio masks are on there. That's about it for me. But I say that to say this: like they didn't really want the Chargers, but because the NFL cock blocked, they knew they couldn't send the Chargers out there because they basically set San Diego on fire as far as that fan base. So they
Oh
were
yeah,
like,
Spanos pissed them off. Yeah, they can't go back there at all.
so we can't go back to San Diego. We won't get the transplant of fans like the Raiders do from California to Vegas, and new Raiders fans in Vegas. Raiders fans are special. So they're like, well, we just want the Rams, but Spanos is basically like, well, what about us? And they're like, I guess we'll bring you along too. So they were kind of like, the add on that nobody,
Really cared about. Yeah.
yeah. So Herbert is going to sell tickets as far as in his own right, somewhat, right? But
Mm-hmm.
look at the lineage, and I do this too. Like, uh, Burrow has like I don't even really want to say it like this, like a Brady type. Like just has this swagger. You just see it, right?
Yeah, like
You
he's confident. Yeah. He got the clutch gene. He's one of those quarterbacks.
and he's self aware too. He does a lot of shit like the jackets he wears, the shades I do. He knows like if I'm different, like guys wear suits, I'll wear this. I'll wear this chain. I'll wear these glasses. I'll just
Little
like
subtle shit.
yeah, and he acts like he's not self aware, but he knows. Now I say to say this, Herbert is like, and maybe I don't know, he has great talent, so I don't want to be like that. But like Mahomes sells insurance. You can see Burrow in commercials here in a few. Even with Baker being a loser, he has like some quality about him.
Yeah, he
You
a
feel
funny
what I'm
dude.
saying?
He funny. I'll give
Right.
him that.
Like even though he's like he doesn't win, but hey, but Herbert is just like, he's like Joe Flacco with as far as like his personality is just like bland. Like nobody really cares. And so
Yeah.
I feel like I told a friend of mine, I said he's just going to be non hillbilly Philip Rivers
non non hillbilly Philip Rivers.
because I mean this dude got like 9 kids. And, he sounds like he has an Alabama draw. The NFL is done with like Peyton and Eli. Even though they're from the South, they're upstanding
Yeah,
Southern.
good old
No offense to
boys.
my Southern people, yeah, no offense to my Southern people, but they don't want somebody that looks like they probably chew tobacco like Philip Rivers. And see, like on a quick side of that, it's kind of like the reverse thing I was saying as far as black quarterbacks. Like black quarterbacks, they don't want a guy that looks like Lamar Jackson with the grades from like Snoop Dogg from 2002 or something being like the face of the league. They'll have you up there, but they don't want that.
Yeah.
On the other side of that, they don't want you being a hillbilly like Philip Rivers or you know somebody
There's a
like that.
certain image they have in mind for, say, a white quarterback and a black one.
Yeah, and that's what people don't understand. So they'll look at it, one way. So they'll be like, "Well, black quarterbacks are here," or they'll look at certain white ones, and it's like you can just like, sadly for Baker, because he doesn't like shave his beard up, trimmed up or whatever. He just looks like a guy. Hell, even Aaron lately, he just looks like a homeless guy or something. It's like, are they really gonna have you like Super Bowl champion Baker Mayfield? Here you go. No, Herbert, same thing. Like he looks like a guy who, he'll throw for 5,000 yards, like Dan Fouts did back in the day, if you remember him.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody say he's like Kodak Black, but
Oh, that's Lamar. Yeah, that definitely doesn't
oh,
help
man.
his case.
But Dan Fouts back in the day threw for like a bazillion yards, Hall of Famer. Nobody cares. You look at Drew Brees. Shout out to him. He had to become a saint to win. Nobody cares. Like the Chargers have had. If you look at Hall of Fame or fringe Hall of Fame talent, offense and defense, these fools have had talent. But nobody at the grand scheme is like, does anybody really care about the Chargers? No. Like you have to have somebody like, Burrow will probably have the best football time the Bengals will ever have because of the situation. You know what I mean? And himself.
Mm-hmm.
It's like once that's gone, it's like, can you do, even though it's another sport, what like the Cavs are doing, where they're halfway decent and stuff like that, and with young talent, yeah. But I'll say this, on even on their side note, I know LeBron wants to own a team in the future, and I know his son. Obviously, he has two sons that'll probably be in basketball. So I see this fool backdooring either his son or himself in back with the Cavs. Not saying he'll play back with the Cavs, but you get what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So of course, how do you set that up? By having certain people be good now. You know what I mean? Like it's a long game that people got to understand that they're playing. Like with Tennessee, they wanted to make sure that they were good enough to leave Houston in the dust, right, and get that Tennessee. You're in
Fan
Tennessee, right?
base solidified. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Would you say Titan fans are from obviously some parts of Kentucky, Mississippi?
I'll say most of them from Nashville. Yeah, a lot of them are generally from the Nashville area. Chattanooga more so with the recent success. Memphis, I mean, they got the Grizzlies. They ain't really worried about no Titans. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That seems like more of a basketball type
yeah,
city.
Memphis is a basketball. They got the Memphis Tigers with Penny Hardaway, and they got the Grizzlies. They ain't worried about no damn Tennessee Titans.
Right, right, right. And I just feel like you know, even the way they do stuff is like geographical because like there's a lot of Bengal fans that were in Indy as far as older ones because the like 50s, 60s because they when they were younger the Colts didn't have a team until the mid 80s, late 80s from Baltimore. So
Mm-hmm.
they leave Baltimore, go there. So of course, you know, oh well, I didn't really know about the Colts. So of course, now with Manning, you get Manning there. They build a new stadium. They keep everybody. Tennessee, they had the McNair years. I mean, shout out to him. He was a warrior, even though that whole story obviously ended bad.
Mm-hmm.
but King Henry, great player, whatever. But it keeps them interesting. But it's just like even last year, It was like, oh, are they really gonna? And in some cases, it happens obviously, but it's like, are they really gonna have Ryan Tannehill be, you know, this guy, right? Like, I don't know. And who was it? Colin Cowherd. You can look it up. So he had a video at the beginning of the playoffs, and I laughed about it. He said, "I'm gonna do. Uh, I'm gonna pick quarterback literally by their face."
Say by their face.
I'll send you. I'll send you the link later on. Yeah, literally by their face. And I'm like, and I love when he does this because so what he does, because Colin's in the know,
Mm-hmm.
he
Yeah.
will he will definitely. You just have to spot what he's giving you. He'll tell you something. Like a few years ago, he did that with and yeah, I think it was Andrew Luck, one of his last years. He was like, man, uh, or no, it was a few years ago. He was like, it was without Luck. He was like, man, they're like 1-5, but I'm telling you, if I had to watch out for a team to get hot, it's cold. And I remember telling my brother, who may be watching this right now, or I don't know, he has an early morning. I said, man, uh, that's weird, right? Like out of all, mind you, there were teams way better than them, higher in the stand. This team's 1-5, and you're saying that the fucking Colts are going to the playoffs. So I told him, I said, in pools that you do, I said, fucking start picking the Colts every week. I said, in parlays, start picking the Colts, even though they're going to be underdogs. Next thing you know, boom, boom, boom. If you remember, they won like 8 or 9 games in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And
and I
snuck in
think
the
that may have been
playoffs.
last year, and then stuck in the playoffs. And I say that to say this as far as with the quarterback. So he picked uh, the Bengals. He picked the Bengals versus Mahomes, literally off of. He said, "Well, look at Joe Burrow. I'm picking Burrow over Derek Carr. I'm picking Burrow over Ryan Tannehill." Okay. And then they got to Mahomes, and then he said, "Well, you know, I know Burrow. I think he still has more to prove." But then I was thinking, like, but this motherfucker would have literally just won 2 playoff games. Then you're saying he has more to
More to
prove?
prove. Yeah, those little hints, those little subtle
Yeah,
hints they be dropping.
yeah. And he said, so he was like, I don't know, but he said, I get Andy Reid and I get the home crowd, and I'm thinking, do you do you know like when you play well in my head like when they played Tom Brady in this game they lost like they lost to Tom Brady. I'm like it isn't like people haven't won in Kansas City lately, right? Like they're fucking like undefeated at home in the last few years. Hell, fucking Jordan Love on a Monday night almost beat the motherfucker. It wasn't even Daniel Jones. Who was the quarterback? Or no, it was Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones and like the fifth string receivers of the Giants, if you remember,
Mm-hmm.
these motherfuckers almost beat them earlier in the season.
Yeah, they
Like,
did. Yeah.
like with backup, and I'm like, and I feel like that there was obviously we see now in hindsight, but I feel like the reason for that was because they were telling you, hey, this team is good, but like they were telling you early on, this team is obviously, we're gonna have you move off of them, but like then they're gonna catch a run, and then everybody's gonna be like, oh, well, Mahomes is just playing so magical, and like Kansas City isn't like the '85 Bears defense. Their defense is terrible. Uh, Literally 3 weeks ago or whatever, Joe Burrow put up 34 or whatever on them. The same guy, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
they literally beat the same team, even though it was at home. It's like, and you're saying that they can't figure it out now, and of course the Andy Reid narrative. But what's funny to me is, even though he did win the Super Bowl, obviously we know that. Um, People forget the narrative of Andy Reid was a big ass trophy.
Yeah, he couldn't manage his timeouts.
He was a complete like when in doubt, pick against the Eagles. When in doubt, pick against Kansas City. But of course, he gets Mahomes, and everybody gets blinded by that. And it's
And they
like,
forget all about it.
yeah, like it's kind of like with the Heat, like the Heat back what 2012, whatever. Everybody's like, oh, you can't bet against the Heat. Like you do realize they lost the third, right? And Jason Terry, like, I mean,
Yeah.
like you act like they can't be beat. Like Dirk beat them year one, so it's like not saying that they're not really good, but it's just that whole all invincibility type thing. Like
The big
no,
three, the aura about it, and everything like that.
yeah, but they were telling you that because of course with the way betters are, they're not seeing hell. Probably now people are seeing well, the year of the Tiger and Joe Burrow, him and Chase have never lost a playoff game ever in college or pro. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but like you guys should know this stuff, or that the whole Joe Mixon, destroying Texas Tech, Zach Taylor's last game, Zach Taylor's first game as a coach, that it was preseason, was against Kansas City. His last game um, as a college quarterback, as far as in the Big 12, I think they went to a bowl game,
Mm-hmm.
was Nebraska at Arrowhead Stadium. Like the
Wow.
the the symmetry, and not even and going necessarily deep with the numbers. I know a lot of people are,
Mm-hmm.
but just the symmetry of that alone should let people know, right? Like Jamar Chase, and then I found it interesting because Travis Kelsey, he was at, mind you, he went to UC. He was at the game that Alabama beat UC at, and in Texas, and I found that funny because I was like, does that mean that he's going to lose, or that was weeks
Mm-hmm.
ago, but obviously foreshadowing, he did get a touchdown, which I knew he would against his college alma mater, you know, team or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So he did get that, but it's like, they wouldn't let you win. If you look at Tampa Bay, I told one of my buddies, you could have told me they weren't going to win, not even because of AB, fuck AB, because when they had Le'Veon Bell on the fucking team, bro,
The league don't
when they
like
picked,
him.
yeah, I'm like, the league's gonna let Le'Veon Bell win a championship? Fuck no. Like, it was bad enough
No.
they let Antonio Brown win one. Yeah, and you know what I mean? Like, I guess
Mm-hmm.
we'll let him do it because you're Brady, so we'll let him do it. But you know, like, you think you're gonna bring Bell on the team and they're gonna win? No.
Hell
Like,
no.
and that's just the thing, man. Like, if people, and obviously, you can get in to your gematria and figure out things like the whole, Bucks correlation, like the Bucks and Braves, and how Atlanta sports has been kicked off after what's our guy Hank Aaron dying,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. How um, you know all of a sudden Bill Belichick went from the smartest and greatest coach ever to this dude can't even win playoff games without Tom Brady. Uh, you know, there's, I mean, it's so many different ways and to look at stuff, and I think the fact that Billy Cannon with Burrow, the fact that Billy Cannon died the same day Joe Burrow went to campus there, and then he starts his LSU career. You have Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase sits out for a full year, so people forget about him in a grand scheme. And then it's just so much. It's just, I mean, it's just so much stuff. And they have a show, I think it's on Peacock, with Joe Montana, like
Mm-hmm.
Joe Cool Under Pressure or some shit. And uh, I was really thinking about like, you're just like Joe Montana in a way, like, except you're gonna be like the Bengals Joe Montana. Like, you're gonna,
Yeah, they make all those little comparisons, how he's poised under pressure, Puts up all these numbers statistically, this, that, and the third. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they like no matter what, Joe Burrow is now established. This is just like I said, the whole wrestling thing. Like when a you get in there with a main eventer, like you fight Stone Cold and you beat him, and then they send you some pay per view, and then you're like, man, I'm in here with The Rock now. Ironically, I don't know how much you know about wrestling. Shout out to Chris Jericho for doing that, and that's what made him. It was like, oh, you're gonna beat Stone Cold and The Rock in one night. And Vince told him, like literally right at during the show, like, yeah, you're gonna win the championship. I am. Yeah, you're gonna beat Rock Stone Cold in one night. And it literally projected him. Like he went from like, I mean, he was somebody, but he was like a mid
Then
Carter,
into the Chris Jericho with the super huge ego, the walk
right?
around pompous as hell. Yeah.
Right, and that's how they do with these guys. And you can tell when some guys like hate, like, oh, well, they're not going to push me anymore. Obviously, Odell, he's getting pushed to the stars again because he is on this team or whatever. McVay, he's going to be, he probably won't be coaching the Rams for another 30 years, but he'll be coaching for another 30 years. And
Mm-hmm.
then him, Zach Taylor, fucking Kyle Shanahan, we'll be hearing about these guys forever. And then I'll tell you this, uh, probably what is 2022? I
Yeah.
give it by 2030, we will have a woman coach.
That's not out of the realm of possibility. They already trying to push that shit in the NFL or the NBA. Excuse me.
Yep, yep. And I know Becky. Is it Becky Hammond? Right?
Yeah, Becky Hammond.
Yeah, I think she'll probably be the first because she got our guy. Uh, what's his face? Popovich. He
Mm-hmm.
got his got once you get signed on, like it's that how it works. Like you get signed on by somebody, right? Or you get the juice from somebody. So Popovich is like, hey, you're my guy, or McVay or whoever.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can't do no wrong because man, you're on their tree. I'm gonna send you through. You're the next up and coming coach or quarterback or whoever.
That
Running
cosign
back.
go a long way. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know our guy Kwame calls it the go along get along game, and a lot of people don't know what that is. But it's just like you can always see the narrative. Like sadly, like the easiest one, even though of course it's easy to hate certain teams or whatever, but the easiest one is looking at the Cowboys. And I had told a Cowboy friend of mine this years ago. They were
Mm-hmm.
like, "How come?" They were like, "Well, if it's rigged, how come the Cowboys don't win all the time?" I'm like, because the Shield makes money off of you regardless. Like they
And they
don't
don't
need,
understand that concept of the business that is the NFL.
yeah. So I'm pretty sure but for viewers out there watching, if you whatever your favorite team is or whatever, if you sued, the Detroit Lions because they sell fucking bad hot dogs or some shit, you
Mm-hmm.
sued them, then you're going to get a letter. Yes, it'll have the Detroit Lions on it, but it'll be like, DC or whatever the fuck, NFL, whole NFL shield will be on that motherfucker. Basically, like, you sued the NFL. You're like, no, but I sued the Lions, and you can look this up in a document because I forget the exact reasoning why, but somebody had sued the NFL maybe 10, 15 years ago on or a team for something, and they got a whole written letter from the NFL like, yeah, what's up? Like, so we're here, and they're like, we're one, even though we're 32 franchises, we're one
One
entity.
big conglomerate.
Yeah. So it's like you suing a McDonald's, but then the corporation of McDonald's is like, hey, so hey, buddy, what's going on? And the fact that people don't get that, the fact that people don't understand, like, hey, Russell Wilson throwing this pick right now. um, is for the greater good, you know,
Of the league.
of the league. Dallas Cowboys. I know people who go to their, whatever, um, stadium and all that stuff. They make money, shit tons of money year round.
Yeah, regardless if they win or lose or draw, whatever. It's the
Yeah,
Cowboys. They shit gonna sell.
and you selling or not selling, you know, Dak not winning. Like every time I see Stephen A, and of course he does the big laugh or whatever, that does
Mm-hmm.
huge ratings. That that huge ratings with just them going. Like obviously them when they finally get to a Super Bowl, that'll be cool too for them and their fans, and they'll be one of the stick it up people. But that's the thing, it's them waiting. It's like you're waiting on your favorite wrestler to, and that's why for people who don't necessarily understand gematria and or numerology in general or whatever, that's the way I try to explain it to them. It's like think of it as you have a favorite wrestler and you're mad because well Vince McMahon will put them over. Well, look at it like this: Roger Goodell is Vince McMahon, and that the NFL is the WWE, and that certain people will get pushed. Some people get demoted after they get paid. Like, look at Derek Carr. Like, Derek Carr is a good quarterback, but nobody cares. So it's like, will they push Derek Carr, even though he's a Raider, right? Would they push Derek Carr and the Raiders to the championship game, or would they push Aaron Rodgers to the championship game?
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers got more star power.
Yeah, that what I mean. Like they can't make their car, and part of it. Ironically, I met his brother here in Cincinnati before the Bengals game uh,
Mm-hmm.
a few weeks ago. He was a nice, cool dude, but you could tell like I was like, they never gave you a chance, and he just looked at me like he was like, yeah, it basically like, look, I made shit tons of money. It is what it is. Is what he was basically telling me. Like his whole family was here for the game. I guess they travel a lot, but
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking of it while I was talking to him. Like, man, people look at you. Wasn't going to tell him this, but people look at you as like a bust and stuff like that. Even though he is just like Jimmy G, he has a Super Bowl in the back end with the Giants. He was on that second team,
Mm-hmm.
but people look at Derek Carr like, oh, you're his brother, and we're gonna get you to here. And of course, he's in Oakland, so we'll have you here. And until we can get somebody bigger in, we'll make sure. Like next year, because they're in Vegas, they'll probably have obviously the Thursday night game, but they'll probably have what 3 or 4 primetime games because
Yeah, yeah.
Vegas.
Vegas
Yeah,
sells itself.
yeah, right. Vegas sells itself. Um, Shout out to our guy Jerry Jones for getting them like I said, the Rams moved out there because he's from out there.
Yeah, he's from what, LA?
Yep, yep. And he knew because they hold their practices out there that it would be more money for him to have a team out there so that they can play teams like that out there. It's genius. Paul Brown or Mike Brown, who even though he looked half past dead in in the AFC Championship thing or whatever, because their family is so lineage in the history of football. They'll obviously not every year, but well now, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets knocked off because his daughter and son-in-law have been doing a lot of dealings in the Bengals. Like they finally have a Ring of Honor, which they never had. They have fireworks, pyro, and bringing people back. They're doing a lot of shit to get people in, and obviously the New Jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
I should have mentioned that too. If you notice, teams either get new stadiums or new jerseys.
And new
Um,
stadiums at the same time.
yeah, and the Bengals they're actually up. A lot of people don't know this because they signed one of the worst stadium deals ever in 2000. So normally you get 30 years. They signed for 25. So
Mm.
here in a couple years, the stadium deal is going to be up. So I think they'll either make a whole new stadium, maybe not, especially if they win the Super Bowl. They're going to be like, oh, because you know how it is. Everybody's so caught up in the hoopla. Oh yeah, even though we owe like 100 million on this stadium, still build another one, or you know, add to this one or something.
Mm-hmm.
And hell, that'll probably happen uh with Buffalo too.
Yeah, Buffalo's due for a new stadium. They already got the design little sketch. It's like a retractable roof on the stadium. That should look
Oh wow,
nice. Mm-hmm.
yeah. I'll just say this to you as far as Buffalo. If you notice, um, so Josh Allen, I know they keep saying, well, he'll be a rivalry or whatever. Like, because sadly nobody really cares about Buffalo,
Mm-hmm.
they'll they will keep pushing them to that spot. But it's like I don't feel like they have to, because of the four straight Super Bowl losses. They don't have to put them in on one yet. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, we're just glad to be back in the playoffs. You know, people know who Josh Allen is. We'll keep giving you that. Now, if they do get the new stadium deal done, or if they end up moving to say Texas or something,
Mm-hmm.
like that'll be the year.
Yeah, that's how it usually go. My last question. With everything that you've said, who do you have winning not this coming Sunday, but the Sunday after that for the Super Bowl?
So I'll say this for the Super Bowl, I think it'll probably go somewhat how it did in this the AFC Championship game, which is like it'll be a little bit back and forth. Cooper Cup will probably have like 100 yards, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so Cooper Cup will have a big game probably in the first half, and then I think the Bengals will end up winning, and I think the scapegoat will probably be Odell.
Odell would be the scapegoat for them.
Yeah, because I think Cooper Cup, what'll happen is Odell will probably have a couple catches, but it'll be like what happened with Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase started out, shitty and then lit it up, and I feel like he'll start off like hot a little bit. I think Cup and him, and then in the second half, they'll just be like, "Hey, we're just gonna like take away Cup and make you throw to Odell, and then the lights will be bright, and Odell just turn into when they were on that boat or whatever the fuck. Like he'll just
Oh yeah, when he played for the Giants in that playoff game after that. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
yeah. And Aaron Donald, he'll probably have like two. He'll probably like kill it too. He'll probably have like 2 sacks. Uh, and I just feel like what they've been selling everybody is even though the Bengals are like, hey, we're not underdogs. Like it's funny how the narrative is. Burrow's like, I'm tired of us being underdogs, whatever. Even though every game they're underdogs, so I feel
Mm-hmm.
like telling you, hey, we expect to win, and we're going to win, but everybody says we're going to lose, and this is the ultimate because you're going up against all the high price guys
The
out there in
star
LA.
power, the headliners and stuff that's on the Rams team.
Yeah, and I'll say this, Jamar, because of course they're pushing him. He had one of his best games in that championship game as far as in college, and I feel like he's going to put Jalen Ramsey on an island, and Jalen will probably have a couple good plays against them, but once Jamar gets going, yeah,
It's a wrap.
yeah, I just feel like there's too much. Um, like if LA wins, I mean, okay, Aaron Donald gets the ring. Like staff, I mean, unless you're really crowning McVay, it's like, does anybody really care about Stafford winning at this point? Nobody. They'll
It's
be
a
like,
good story. I'll say it's one of those. It's an underdog story for real. When you think about it, it's literally an underdog story.
you're
But
right.
no, I'm definitely leaning more towards Cincinnati to win. But and also this game, I wouldn't be surprised if this shit go into overtime.
They've
Think
been,
about it, in LA. LA's a home team. It's the perfect opportunity to do it. They've been doing it all playoffs. send the game in overtime.
Yeah, and I'll say this to you: people haven't noticed. They were like, "Man, these games have been super entertaining." I'm like, yeah," but I'm like, people were just watching. I don't even try to get into it with them. I'm like, they realize like some games they just be like, Eagles. Hey, we just have you guys in here for filler. We'll do whatever. They're not even caring about it. But these other ones, they're out there just, well, Josh Allen, throw the touchdown real quick, and then Mahomes, you go down there in 13 seconds. Burrow, hey, uh, you just have to make one drive. Like, you think this is something? I'll say this: given that, did basketball have fans this year?
Yeah, they did.
They did. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I was gonna say they're probably going to do the same with basketball, because obviously what's the name's going to pass Kareem, but that's you know one of those things. LeBron is definitely going to get at least one more. Maybe not right now. But he's definitely getting one more because all that LA star power, like Dodgers, LA, like for some reason they're making LA the spot. But I think the reason for that, as far as in the these last 5 years and going probably another five, is because
Mm-hmm.
they're so heavy in the bullshit with the COVID mask and the vaccine and all that shit. They want to push the narrative. So, hey, look, the Rams, we went from no team being at home to in COVID two fucking. So it was, I'll just say that. And it was definitely a pleasure. Hope everybody enjoyed themselves. I definitely did. And yeah, whenever you want to have me on, I'll definitely come on if you need somebody.
Likewise, man. For sure, man. Glad to have you on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You have a good one. And peace
All right,
out. I'll send
man.
you that link.
All right, for sure, man. Be easy.
Yes, sir. You too.
All right, so that has been the conference championship edition of Rigged NFL. We won't have one this coming Sunday. That's the Pro Bowl. I mean, it's the Pro Bowl. Who gives a shit? But then after that will be the season finale for the Super Bowl the following Sunday. So stay tuned for that. Again, this has been Rigged NFL Conference Championship Game Edition. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Thank you for watching. We